Do you pride yourself on never asking for help even when you're drowning? You call it strength, but it might actually be a survival mechanism. You have spent years with the narcissist or toxic people who ignored your needs, your feelings, and your opinions, so now your independence is not a personality trait. It's the lingering echo of emotional abandonment. Have you ever told yourself, I don't need anyone, and actually believed it? Maybe you pride yourself on handling everything alone. You don't ask for help. You don't rely on people. You keep your emotions tightly controlled. You solve your own problems, make your own decisions, and carry your own burdens. From the outside, it looks like strength. But what if I told you it might not be? What if your hyper-independence, the thing you've always seen as your greatest asset, is actually a survival strategy you learned from a long time ago? A response to something you had to go through. Today, we're going to unpack the truth behind hyper-independence, where it comes from, how it shows up in your life, and why healing doesn't mean becoming dependent, it means becoming safe enough to connect. Hyper-independence isn't just being self-sufficient. Healthy independence says, I can take care of myself, but I also know when to ask for support. Hyper-independence says, I must take care of myself because no one else will. It's not a preference, it's a rule. People who are hyper-independent often struggle to ask for help even when they need it, feel uncomfortable relying on others, avoid vulnerability, overfunction in relationships, and feel safer alone than connected. And here's the key thing. This isn't about personality, it's about protection. Hyper-independence is often rooted in early experiences where relying on others didn't feel safe or didn't work. Maybe you grew up in an environment where your emotional needs were ignored. You were expected to grow up too quickly. You were punished for expressing vulnerability. You learned that asking for help led to disappointment or rejection. So your brain adapted. It said, if no one is coming, I'll handle it myself. And that adaptation, it worked. It helped you survive. It gave you control in situations where you had none. But here's the problem. Your brain doesn't always update when your environment changes. So even when you're surrounded by people who would support you, you still feel like you have to do everything alone. Hyper-independence looks like strength, but often it's built on fear. Fear of being let down, being seen as weak, losing control, being a burden, or getting hurt. So instead of risking connection, you choose certainty. You choose control. You choose distance. And again, this makes sense. If your past taught you that dependence equals pain, of course you'd avoid it. But here's the truth. Avoiding dependence doesn't eliminate pain. It just changes its form. Instead of disappointment, you get isolation. Instead of rejection, you get disconnection. Instead of vulnerability, you get emotional exhaustion. Hyper-independence doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, and easy to miss. It can look like saying, I'm fine when you're overwhelmed, taking on too much responsibility, struggling to delegate, feeling uncomfortable when someone offers for help, ending relationships before you get too attached, or keeping emotional walls up even with people you trust. It can even show up in success. You might be high-achieving, disciplined, and reliable, but underneath that, there's often a belief that says, if I don't do it myself, it won't get done. Or even deeper, if I rely on someone, I'll get hurt. Being the strong one comes with a cost, and that cost is often invisible. When you're always the one holding everything together, you don't get to fall apart. You don't get to be supported. You don't get to be seen in your vulnerability. You become the person everyone depends on, but no one checks in on. And over time, that creates exhaustion, resentment, loneliness. Because humans aren't designed to function in isolation. We're wired for connection. Even the most independent person still needs emotional safety, support, and understanding. And denying those needs doesn't make them disappear, it just buries them. If hyper-independence is exhausting, why is it so hard to change? Because it's not just a habit, it's an identity. It's who you had to become. Letting go of hyper-independence can feel like losing control, becoming vulnerable to pain, trusting something you've learned not to trust. And your brain sees that as danger, so it resists. Even when part of you wants connection, another part says, no, it's safer this way. This internal conflict is completely normal. It's not weakness, it's your nervous system trying to protect you. Healing doesn't mean becoming dependent on everyone. It doesn't mean losing your independence. It means expanding your capacity. It means moving from I have to do everything alone to I can do things on my own and I can let others in when I choose. Healing looks like asking for help in small ways, letting someone support you without feeling guilty, being honest about how you feel, allowing yourself to be seen, not just admired, trusting slowly instead of not at all. It's not about flipping a switch, it's about building safety, one step at a time. Trust does not come back all at once. It's rebuilt through experience, through small moments where someone shows up for you, someone listens without judgment, someone respects your boundaries. And at first, it might feel uncomfortable, even wrong, but that's okay. You're not used to it. Your brain is learning something new. The connection doesn't always lead to pain. Somewhere along the way, you may have learned that needing people is a weakness. It's not. It's human. You're allowed to need support, to want connection, to ask for help, or rely on people who've earned your trust. Independence and connection aren't opposites, they're partners. Real strength isn't about doing everything alone, it's about knowing you don't have to. If this resonates with you, don't try to change everything overnight. Start small. Maybe that looks like telling someone how you're actually feeling, accepting help instead of refusing it. Even one small moment of openness is progress, because healing isn't about becoming a different person, it's about becoming a safer place for yourself. Your hyper-independence didn't come from nowhere, it came from strength, from resilience, from doing what you had to do to get through something difficult. But you're not in the same place anymore, and you don't have to keep surviving in the same way. You're allowed to rest, you're allowed to be supported, you're allowed to be human. And maybe the strongest thing you'll ever do is let someone be there for you. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, you don't have to do it everything alone anymore.